The first few minutes that I drove with this car, a smile appeared on my face. Almost a week has passed now since that day, and the question is that smile still there, or did I turn into a sad face emoticon? Yeah, that was terrible. Anyway, hello there monsters and men, ladies and people. This is the Volvo XC40 P8 Recharge, and welcome to Recharging. One of the main reasons why a smile appeared on my face is the following. Buckle up. Oh yes, 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 yes. Man, this car is quick. For some reason you don't expect that with a Volvo. I mean, the reason why this car is so quick is because this car stands on the same platform as the Polestar 2. Well, actually the other way around, because this car came out sooner than the Polestar 2. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What they do share is the same hardware. So that means you have two electric motors, one in the front, one in the rear, and they deliver a combined power of 408 horsepower and 660 newton meters of torque. And with that, this car goes from 0 to 100 in less than 5 seconds. Yes, that is quick. Yes, all Volvos are limited to 180 kilometers an hour, but that doesn't matter. I mean, 0 to 100 in 5 seconds, that is just quick, and it is hell of a lot of fun. And for some reason, it feels like the power comes so easy. I mean, a Audi e-tron or Jaguar I-Pace are quicker cars, but they feel more sluggish than this Volvo. And don't get me wrong, I mean, this Volvo is also a heavy beast. I mean, the normal version with the internal combustion engine is already a heavy car, and normally adding a battery pack does not help. And that's also the reason why this car weighs 2200 kilos. Yes, that is heavy. Does the exterior of the Volvo XC40 also put a smile on my face? Well, the answer to that is yes. I really like the design of this car, and especially in this white color. Are there any big differences between the internal combustion engine version and the electric version? Well, they're not. Yes, the electric version has a closed grille, as you can see, because you need less cooling, but besides that, it's actually a very normal Volvo XC40. Do we see something when we open up the bonnet though? Yes, we see a lot of plastic, but this car also has a frunk. And not all electric cars that also have an internal combustion engine version have that. Yes, the frunk is not big, it fits a few small bags or your charging cables, but it at least has one, so that is good. A fun fact about the electric Volvo XC40 is that in the nose of the car, stronger steel is being used than in the version with the internal combustion engine. And that is because an internal combustion engine actually helps with the strength of the crumble zone of a car. Well, this car doesn't have one, so to reach that same strength, they used stronger steel. The rear of the car looks like a typical Volvo, and in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with that. The electric version of the XC40 comes with an electric tailgate as standard, and also comes with a kick sensor. So let's kick it. There it goes. And what you then have is a boot space of 413 liters. And there are some handy features here in the boot. Like, for example, you can divide the boot in two, like this, and there's also a 12-volt socket. If you put down the rear seats, which you cannot do from the boot, you will see a boot space of 1290 liters. So yeah, the boot is actually very usable. But what is a very handy feature, in my opinion, is that, well, there are two buttons here. One to close the tailgate, and the other one is to close the tailgate and then also lock the car. So, for example, I've taken something out of the boot. I have some heavy stuff here like this. Oh, it's so heavy. Then I can press this button and then the tailgate closes. If I'm not in the way, the tailgate closes like this. I have my heavy stuff and I don't have to fiddle around with the key to close the car, because there it goes, it does it for me. Genius. How is it in the rear of the Volvo? Well, quality-wise, it is what you expect. Nice materials are being used and everything feels rock solid. Space-wise, well, the seat in front of me is in my typical driving position. I am 1 meter and 85 centimeters, and I do have knee room left. And even though there is this nice glass roof up here, I also have headroom left. So space-wise, at least for 2 people, is okay. Because if you want to sit here with 3 people, that is not recommended, because there is a huge hump here in the floor. And with huge, I really mean huge. Features then, Well, you do have separate air vents. This car does have heated seats here in the back. There are 2 USB-C ports and there is a armrest here in the middle with a ski hatch. So again, sitting here with 2 people, nothing to complain. And the same story as in the rear continues here in the front. I mean, the dashboard looks really nice materials are being used, and everything also feels rock solid. I mean, it is what you expect if you buy a Volvo. And there are also some nice features here in the front. Like the door pockets extend over the whole door, and because of that you can actually store a lot of stuff in there. Here in your center console you have a little trash can so that your trash is not openly lying around somewhere in your car. The cubby under your center armrest is actually quite big, and also in your glove box there is a little hook that you can flip out to hang a bag, for example. Is everything perfect then? Well, of course not. Let's start with the display in front of the driver. Because yes, it is a nice screen and it works fast, but I think a few improvements could be made. For example, as standard, you do not see how far you can drive in kilometers. Yes, you do see how full your battery is in percentage, and if you drop below 20%, it will show you how far you can drive in kilometers. But as standard, it is not there. And the information is available, because if I ask the nice lady behind the dashboard, hey Google, what is my range?
Je kunt nog ongeveer 240 kilometer rijden met de resterende accu.
240 kilometers, so just show that. Second, I have my lights on automatic, but I do not see in the display when my lights are actually on or not. And personally, I like to see that, because if the car decides not to turn on the lights when it rains, for example, I want to do it manually, but I cannot see now if my lights are on or not. So why not just show it in the display? And third, you do have 3 different layouts that you can switch between. One that shows your map, one that shows your adaptive cruise control, and one that shows a whole lot of nothing. Yes, you see your speed and you have a regen/power dial, but between that there is a whole lot of black. Yes, if you have your navigation on, you see your navigation instructions, but I think Volvo could have done more with this space. And here in the middle is a vertical screen for your infotainment system. The system itself is responsive and actually very easy to use. And what is nice though is that you do not have to use the screen for everything, and that is because there are still some physical buttons under here. Just like the Polestar 2 though, this system is based on Google's new Android Automotive. So that means you're basically running an Android phone in your car. That also means that you do have to log in with your Google account. Google Maps is your standard navigation software. And there's also an app store available, so you can install third-party apps in this system. There are not that many apps available yet, but of course more and more will come in the future. I think there is still a bug though in this system, and that is because the radio does not start playing automatically when the car is turned on. But of course Volvo will keep improving this system, and by the time this video comes out, Volvo has an update to make it possible to get over-the-air updates, so you don't have to go to your dealer anymore. And with that update there will also be an app available for this car to, for example, preheat your car. And then it is time for maybe the most important thing. What is the range of this car? Well, this car has a 78 kilowatt hour battery pack, and of that 78 kilowatt hours, about 75 kilowatt hours is usable energy. And according to the WLTP, this car should have a range of around 418 kilometers. Well, of course, I did my own test, and keep in mind it is between 5 and 10 degrees right now, and I got a range of 345 kilometers. And I gotta admit, I was actually quite impressed with that. But that was a test to simulate mixed driving conditions. As soon as I did a test where I drove 130 kilometers, the range dropped from 345 to 200 kilometers. And I was not so impressed with that amount. This car just consumes a lot of energy when you drive on a higher speed. And therefore, when you drive a lot on the highway, the range that you can expect in winter is around 230 to 260, 270 kilometers. And in summer, if you drive a lot on the highway, 280 to, 325. But if you drive on slower roads, or you don't drive on the highway that much, or you drive slower on the highway, a range of more than 350 kilometers should be doable. Charging the Volvo from 0 to 100% on an AC charger like the one over here will take you about 8 hours, and that is because the Volvo has a 11 kilowatt onboard charger. What about fast charging then? Well, if your battery is hot enough, then the Volvo can take up to 150 kilowatts, and then charging from 10 to 80% will take you about 35 to 40 minutes. So how does the Volvo drive? Well, let's start with the seating position, because that one is good. You sit nice and high, and not because you sit high in the car, but because, well, this is a tall car. I mean, the adjustability of the steering wheel is good, the steering wheel is nice and thick, the adjustability of the seat is good. I mean, no one will have trouble finding a good driving position in this car. The driving itself then, well, the steering does not have a lot of feeling. Also, the suspension is comfortable, but luckily not too comfortable. It is nice and quiet here in the car, even at higher speeds. The car just feels rock solid to drive in. I mean, don't expect a sporty car, because then you probably have to look at the Polestar 2, but this is just a very nice car to travel with. One way to drive this car is with one pedal, and that is because this car has one pedal driving, and it works really well. And that is because when you lift your foot off the accelerator, the car really slows down. I mean, I'm driving 52 kilometers an hour right now, taking my foot off, slowing down, slowing down, slowing down, and I come to a complete stop like that. I mean, if you anticipate a little, you barely touch the brake pedal. I mean, I've driven more kilometers without touching the brake pedal than with touching it. Of course, in situations where I had to slow down. Volvo has the ambition to be the safest car manufacturer in the world. It wants 0 casualties in or by a Volvo. It would be a little bit weird then if this car did not come with all driving and safety features that are currently available on modern cars. Well, you're in luck, because this is not a weird car, because this car comes with all those driving and safety features, and they come as standard. And a nice thing is they work well too. For example, where some adaptive cruise controls keep you bouncing between the lines of the lane, this one will keep you nicely centered into the lane. The two biggest downsides of this car are 1, its weight, and 2, its range, and especially its range on higher speeds. But if you can live with those downsides, then this is a very nice car to travel with. And maybe this car will get cheaper too, because, and this is not confirmed yet by Volvo, but from the Polestar 2, versions have been announced with one motor and or a smaller battery. And since this car stands on the same platform, 1 and 1 equals 2, right? Anyway, that was the review of the Volvo XC40. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please give a like and do subscribe. If you did not, please leave a comment below to see what I can improve. And then I would like to say now, thank you a lot for watching, and as always, to be continued.